For this one, you might want to sit down and grab a vape because this is one unique device. How's it going, everybody? This is Andy with AspenValleyVapes.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at the KangerTech DripEZ starter kit. Now this is definitely a very unique and different setup, and I'm going to give you all my thoughts later in the video. But right now we're going to go through the basics real quick, then we're going to take one quick vape on it, dive in, take a close-up look at it, see what it comes with, take a look at this whole unique system, then we'll bring it back up top, have a few more vapes on it, and I will give you my overall thoughts. So starting off with the basics on the DripEZ starter kit, it is a single 18650 mod. The battery is not included. The maximum wattage range on here is 80 watts, and it does have temperature control for nickel, titanium, and stainless steel. It also has 5 programmable memory presets that you can do in standard wattage mode, or if you want to do it in temperature control as well. This kit does come with some pre-installed and pre-wicked coils on this kit here that you'll see better in the close-up, but it is ready to go. All you have to do is put in your battery, add some e-juice, and you're pretty much ready to vape. Real quick though, before we have a vape on it and get into the close-up, I just want to give you a general idea of what this device is. So there was the DripBox and the DripBox 160. Very similar devices, just the DripBox 160 had the added power and it had the adjustability on it, and it was a dual 18650 compared to the standard DripBox, which was not adjustable. Two very similar devices though, and then this is going to fall into line with that. So what this is you have this tank right here, and it sort of reminds me of like a soap bottle. You squeeze this, the e-liquid goes from the tube, hits the RBA deck, and you're ready to start vaping. So that's just a quick overview. I'm going to go into more in depth later in this video when I give you my overall thoughts, but I just did want to cover that. If you're looking at this thing like, what the heck is that device? That is pretty much what it is right there. One more thing on the basics of it is it has a 15 ml e-liquid capacity. All this is a glass 15 milliliter e-juice bottle. So if you have a 15 ml lying around, just your standard Boston round, you could pop it in there and screw this top on and you'd be ready to start vaping just on that. If not, you can unscrew this, fill up your desired e-liquid in here, and it has a 15 ml capacity because it is just a 15 ml glass bottle. Before we go into the close-up, let's have a quick vape. This is with the pre-built coils in here. They come in at 0.3, and this is at 62.5 watts. Alrighty, here we have the packaging on the KangerTech DripEZ right here. Big box for the big mod. Flip it on over, you don't get too much information here. You can see DripEZ, RBA, second juice pump, Pyrex glass, USB cable, and a manual. I was curious to see what the sticker was covering before, and then it looks like the only thing removed is that drip coil. They are not using the same drip coils that they did on the DripBox 160 and the DripBox. So it looks like that is the only thing that was removed, and that's what was originally planned for the DripEZ. It says do not drip the DripEZ too frequent. Very interesting. And then the color options, black and silver. You get a KangerTech battery card saying don't use your battery if it looks like any of these right here, if it's ripped or torn or anything like that. And then a DripEZ user manual here. It does go over a lot, shows you how to set it up, how you have the juice on the opposite side of the coil. The airflow is on the coil, just because you don't want metal touching metal there. Put it on the side, don't put it on the side, don't put it on the side. Shows you how to install the pre-built coils it comes with. Shows you about filling the bottle. Using the display shows you how to change all the modes, which does go into pretty good depth there. So overall, a very good manual, which is good because sometimes devices like this can get pretty confusing. You'll get the solid black cover if you do want to swap it out. The other one that I do have on there right now is the clear version right here. You can use either of these, single airflow. You'll get an additional juice pump for the 15 milliliter bottles. It's with an extra hose on here. And you can see right here how the mechanism works. This just drips down into the bottle. You'll get a baggie here with some additional pre-built coils for the deck and some extra O-rings. And then you'll get a bag of Japanese organic cotton. Alright, so here's the actual KangerTech DripEZ itself. On this side here, you do have the 15 ml capacity e-juice bottle. It is just a glass Boston round 15 milliliter bottle. You do have this viewing window so you can see the level of your e-juice. On the front, you do have a pretty large screen here. It has your battery life, resistance to the coil. You can see I switched it to temperature control here, so you got the wattage and then the current temp up on top. If you do want to switch, you just click the button 3 times, and we're back to the wattage mode there. Just click that fire button 3 times to cycle through the menu. You have your up and down buttons located on the bottom here, and you can flip the screen orientation also if you'd like. Locking it, just hold that fire button and the down button. Screen is locked. On the back here, you do have the magnetic battery cover that holds your single 18650. It is marked below here with the positive and negative, so you know how to insert the battery. 2 magnets on here. It does stay in place nice. No battery rattle, just sits in there nice and flush. Up on top, you do have the removable top cap. So I did take off that top cap, and you can see down in the deck right there. It's just a single coil on a 2-post deck there. It comes pre-installed and pre-wicked for you. This is actually a new wicking job I did myself because I have had this for about a month now, probably even a little over a month. so I have replaced the cotton. You can either use this clear one or you can use the solid metal one. I like this clear one on here. Even though it does get pretty fogged up and the condensation builds up, I still like the look of the clear one over the solid color. You can see the single airflow slot right here, and it is adjustable via the top cap. You just twist the top cap, adjust it around to the sides, and you're good. I usually leave it about 75% open, or about there, I would say. That's just my personal preference. So I know I covered it before, but it's a little bit easier to cover it when showing you. So that how this device is used, e-liquid sits down in here, just in the bottle. You have your little soap style bottle right here, the little top cap. You push down on that. When you squeeze, the e-juice is going to travel through this tube, down around. You can see it gets tucked in there. And then it's going to come in through the back there. And then it's going to dip down to the e-juice well, and then your cotton is going to start soaking up that e-juice. So it's as simple as that. It's very similar to a squonk, except this one's got the little tube here. This tubing usually does stay on there pretty well, but like I said, I have had it fly off on me about 3 times. Twice when I was squeezing it, and that wasn't very fun. But that's pretty much how it works. You can take out this e-juice bottle right here. This one that I have in here is actually in there pretty good right now. It does have an O-ring in there that keeps it nice and tight so it doesn't rattle around, which is actually a good thing because you want that to stay nice and sturdy in place. You don't want it to be easy to slide in and out. Since I did cover this guy yesterday and I had it sitting right here, this is the Pico Dual, little size comparison for you. This is a dual 18650, this is a single 18650, just a little side by side from above. It's a little bit hard to give a real good size comparison, but that gives you the general idea. This is a dual 18650 right here, and it is much smaller than this single 18650 DripEZ. But you do want to keep in mind this does have a 15 ml e-liquid capacity. That's going to wrap up this close-up. Let's bring it back up top, have a few more vapes on it, and I'm going to give you my overall thoughts on the KangerTech DripEZ starter kit. Alright, now that we've got that close-up out of the way, let's go ahead and bump up the wattage. I've got it at 80 watts now. I've had this thing for about a month now. Coils that are pre-installed on here, I figured that 80 watts is definitely the best for me personally. Before that close-up, it was about 65, so this is about 15 watts higher, and this is what I have found the best for these pre-built coils on here. Let's give it one pump there. Let's go ahead and have a vape at 80 watts. So that right there was with the airflow all the way open. Now I've got it about halfway closed. Let's go ahead and have one more vape with the airflow about halfway closed on here. Alright, so the vapor production and flavor is very good. It's an RBA deck in here. The vapor production could be better. You guys saw the coil setup in the close-up. If you want to put your own build in here, you could do a lot better at 80 watts in terms of vapor production, and you could probably increase the flavor a bit too. With the coil that's pre-installed and wicked up on here already though, the flavor is good, and as you guys saw, the vapor production is still good. I'm just saying it could be better if you wanted to mess around with your own coil setup on here. So now for my overall thoughts on this little guy. I don't even know really where to start. It's a very interesting concept. It's like the DripBox and the DripBox 160, but it's not at the same time. The first thing that comes to my mind when I look at this is it is big. It is a big setup. I do have pretty big hands and I can barely grip it around. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but compared to the DripBox and DripBox 160, it just seems a lot bigger and just looks like you're in large standard KangerTech style mod. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind when I do look at this. Second is the clear replacement that you do have for the RBA deck. Like you guys saw in the close-up, you've got the solid one and the clear one. And with the clear one, because of all the vapor in there, it's going to have a lot of condensation. It's going to be sort of hard to see the actual deck. I've seen this style a lot, and it looks good in concept before the vapor is actually in there on a lot of the RTAs and tanks that use this style. But then when it actually comes down to it, as you guys can see now, it's not too bad. I haven't been vaping too much right now, but there's just a lot of built-up condensation in there. It does make it a little bit hard to even see the coils. I think I still do like using the clear one more than the solid one, though, just because you can see a little bit. You can move it around. And then after time, that condensation will start to go away. But that's just another one of the first things that comes to my mind. Like I said, I've had this kit for about a month now. Been using it on and off for that month. Third thing is the e-juice bottle here. I'm not the biggest fan of that e-juice bottle. I wish it was a little bit more professional looking rather than just a e-juice bottle slid down in there. It seems like it's very concept stage. Like they could have done a lot more with this, made it look a little bit more professional. It does work though. If you do have enough e-juice in there, it's going to pump every time. One thing that has happened to me a few times though, I'm pumping randomly, and then the cord right here, it pops off and then it sprays e-liquid everywhere because you're in the process of pumping. So you've got all that e-liquid just sitting in there and it sort of sprays everywhere. That's happened about 2 or 3 times to me, so not a lot for the amount of time I've used this, but it is worth mentioning in there. The last thing is the fire button. It's not bad. This is how I've been gripping it, but it definitely takes some getting used to. With a lot of mods these days, you're used to a fire button right here, maybe on the side on some of them. Just a lot better placed than this, and this just sort of feels sort of clunky and out of place. Once you do get used to it, it's not a problem. Like I said, I pretty much hold it like this most of the time. Sometimes, since I do have bigger hands, I wrap my finger around like this, push it in with the index finger. But for all people, or if you have smaller hands, that's not going to work out too well in the long run. So with those things being mentioned, my overall thoughts on it, it's definitely a unique setup, even a conversation starter, I would say. It performs good when you're using it, but it's just something I would never leave the house with. I'd be afraid of e-liquid spilling. I don't really trust this little tubing right here to stay intact when I am out and about. If you just have it sitting on your desk next to you or something and you want a stationary mod, it could definitely work for that. But to me, it just seems like this was a prototype for the original drip box. It seems like KangerTech was working on this. They're like, this would be a great concept, and then that's when they came up with the drip box squonker, and then they ended up releasing this. It just seems like it's taking a step back from the drip box and the drip box 160. I know it does have a 15 ml e-liquid capacity, but all it is a glass e-juice bottle with a little spray top bottle on here, and you squeeze it and it pushes the e-liquid through a hose. And like I said, it's a very neat concept, and this is not a bad device at all. It just seems very prototype-ish and not a finished product. It seems very rushed. Personally, if I was looking for a squonk style, which this isn't really a squonk since it's this little push, but it's that same type of style, I'd recommend the drip box or the drip box 160 personally. And it's very interesting. It's an interesting setup, and I'll reiterate it again, it is not bad. It's just unique, and I think there are probably some better options out there. Let's go ahead and have one more quick vape on it. This is at 79.9 watts. I'm glad we took that one more vape real quick, because this one was not in my notes, but it's something that I always think of every time I vape on it. I don't know why it didn't come to me, but it is the single airflow. Both the clear and the colored solid version have the single airflow. I'm not the biggest fan of single airflows. It just feels a little bit weird to me when there's only the airflow coming from one side. I know there are a lot of people that like the single airflow. To me, I wish they had the airflow on maybe the left and right hand side instead of right in front of the coil. I know it should be in front of the coil, but I just like when there's airflow coming from both sides hitting that coil rather than just one single airflow slot. So that is my final point on it. That's pretty much going to wrap up this video though. If you guys have any questions on the KangerTech DripEZ or any other vape related questions in general, please leave a comment down below. And if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. And as always, vape on.